Forgive me if I shed tears. Forgive me if when these days return to us, you see that teardrops on my eyelid lie, but you can't understand what my eyes see. Each time they see her, I feel my heart die. I see her crushed between the door and the wall. Each time my eyelids close and clutch my eye. I see her crushed between the door and the wall. Each time my eyelids close and crush my eye. And as blood flows from the chest of Zahra, my tears flow to soothe the pain of my eye. Forgive me if when day reaches the sky and I see her days on the horizon, I hold onto my chest in agony as if the rib in my chest is broken, as if I'm crushed between door and wall, gasping for air as the door would tighten with the pain of a nail deep within my chest, holding my scream because I'm a woman. Forgive me if I act like an orphan, crying out for the help of my father, holding my scarf like I'm holding my soul, holding my scarf like I'm holding my soul, so it doesn't get burnt by the fire. I sit with my hands defending my face, wondering if this man has a daughter, as the devil slaps the purest face and chains are put upon the hands of Haidar. Forgive me if when I see black cloth, forgive me if when I see black cloth, my hand holds my heart, feeling a darkness, as if there is a gap deep within my heart, as if I have lost something that's so precious, as if I'm a mother who's lost her son, and you see me holding him in sadness, looking at someone too young to be born, too young to see his mother in distress. If these days I dress in black, forgive me. If these days I dress in black, forgive me. If I cry when I serve, recite or cook, as if I'm serving and I collapse in tears, as if my soul the angel of death took. If the picture of Fatima al-Zahra you see in my eyes whenever you look, but the fire of her house burnt my face. The fire of her house burnt my face, and by the push of the door I was shook. So forgive me if I shed tears. Forgive me if I shed tears. أفلح من صلي على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآل محمد. Brothers, sisters, scholars, assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Don't think that only Fatima by the door was taken. Don't think that only Fatima by the door was taken. Hajar and Maryam and Hawa found their ribs broken. How many women fall between the door and wall? From the house of Fatima, they heard a roar. It was as if gold fell and shattered the floor. They asked the house, and when they ask it, its tears pour. How many women were crushed between the wall and door? How many women were crushed between the wall and door? What fell? Even thunder was embarrassed from its sound. What was worth so much that when it fell it hurt the ground? What made the earth's turn stall between the door and wall? The greatest woman from the Holy Quran cried out in pain and found their ribs were broken. In tears holding their ribs, they asked the question, what happened to the leader of all women? What happened to the leader of all women. What fell and what broke? This pain is so unbearable. Were it placed on top of a mountain, we'd watch this mountain crumble. Hearts to our mother crawl between the door and wall. I saw Hajar running, looking for water. I saw Hajar running and looking for water when suddenly she forgot the thirst within her. She felt the pain of the rib of Fatima. She felt the pain of the rib of Fatima as if she's crushed between Safa and Marwa. She heard the voice of her mother Fatima was hushed. Between two mountains, the mountain of patience was crushed from her mother. She'd call between the door and wall. I saw Maryam, still pregnant with her son. Hearing the silence of her child within, she cries out as her mother's worries begin. Oh Fatima, what happened to your Muhsin? I swear, O Fatima, if you find that your son shall no longer give, don't cry, O Fatima, my Isa to you I'll give. Child, mother and all between the door and wall. I saw Hawa with Adam and they wail. What happened to the mother of the veil? What happened to the mother of the veil? I know, she says, I know when I felt within my chest a nail. On her tears the ship of salvation set sail. Tell me why the light from which I took all my shyness leaves this world in pain, in wailing and in her distress, and her killer stands tall between the door and wall. I hear the voices of all women are hushed. I hear the voices of all women are hushed. When into the house of Fatima they rushed. It wasn't just Fatima by the door crushed. It wasn't just Fatima by the door crushed. It wasn't just her veil by fire brushed. Every lover of Our Lady Fatima to Zahra screams out in pain, hearing of the door on fire. Nothing broken was small. Nothing broken was small between the door and wall. So don't think that only Fatima by the door was taken. Hajar and Maryam and Hawa found their ribs broken. How many women fall between the door and wall? How many women fall between the door and wall? اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. For my very last short poem, I want you to imagine, long after the final moments of Fatima, there is someone who you can say he's in almost as much pain as Fatima was during her dying days. And that is Ali ibn Abi Talib. And truly, I can't believe that the one who struck Marhab in two sits in a corner crying, how can I survive without you? Ali Karrar, who killed Marhab, cries touching the broken rib. The sun sets and is silent. There is no one that's patient as hearts break for this moment, and the one who sees Ali aches. Named Haydar by his mother, killed 35 at Badr and raised the gate of Khaybar. When finding her rib he shakes. He sits curled up and crying, the Lion of God, wailing, and every cry is asking, how can Fatima's rib break? A tragedy he has found. A tragedy he has found. He sheds tears that shake the ground every time they hear a sound. What? The sound of her rib breaking. Her rib reaches his finger. Her rib reaches his finger. The thought of it is just torture. He cannot bear to touch her because the door he's remembering. Between the door and wall, the one from heaven would fall, and when for help she would call, for Ali she'd be screaming. At Khaybar, Ali would stand. At Khaybar, Ali would stand. The moon upon the earth would land. He raised the gate with one hand, but he couldn't touch his rib. but he couldn't touch her rib. At Khaybar, Ali would stand. When the moon upon the earth would land, he raised the gate with one hand, but he couldn't touch her rib. The one who never felt fear is tortured by every tear. He wishes he wasn't here and was still fighting marhab. Give Ali any battle. Give Ali any battle, any pain, any trial. Just no rib and no nail and no Muhsin's empty crib. When he holds her and he cries, I see stars fall from the skies. The sun sets and doesn't rise because Ali is in pain. To her grave, he carries her. To her grave, he carries her. Where he walks, roses wither. Above him the skies shatter, and upon Zahra they rain. Ali lowers her body. Ali lowers her body. But look at this tragedy. When her body he'd bury, he feels her rib again. When her body he'd bury, he feels her rib again. So I can't believe that the one who struck Marhab in two sits in a corner crying, how can I survive without you? He sits in a corner crying, how can I survive without you? Thank you very much for listening. Wassalamu alaikum jami'an. Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Aflaha man salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.